Hello, and Norm Winski is back. It's November 13th, 2020. I'm going to spare the introduction. Norm, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm going to first give, I don't know if the folks know me or not, but I have about 50 years of market experience. I'm including as a 12 years as a former Chicago floor trader. And I'm sort of in the Gann school of doing, Mr. Gann was, you can look him up, W.D. Gann is considered one of the greatest market technicians of the 20th century. And Mr. Gann's primary timing tool was astrology. And Mr. Gann would tell you that time is more important than price. So you can use timing to give you the price. At the key times, you'll have the key price. So that's one of my big top principles. And another one is I do Newton's Law. For every action, there's an opposite equal reaction. So when the market arrives at one of these key timing windows, cycle windows, most of the time we'll be looking for a reversal of direction. And if it's going sideways, we do nothing. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And so let's go look at some cycles we had. You got a chance here to learn some of this. At the end of October, we got some great examples. The weekend of October 30th, we had Venus perihelion. What is perihelion? Well, as the planets go around the sun, they all do this. They don't go around the sun in a circle. They go around in an elliptical fashion. That's egg-shaped. And so there's a point where they are closest to the sun and a point where they are farthest from the sun. So on the weekend of the 30th, Venus was at, that's from the Greek perihelios, is Greek for sun, and peri means close. Venus was at its closest point in its 225-day cycle. And by the way, Jeff, I know you're a Fibonacci fan, if I remember right. And 225 is just about 0.617 on Earth's 365 and a quarter days. So that's pretty close to Fibonacci, right? So anyway, there's a little interesting side note. So we had, based on decades of research, I've been able to assign different planets and different zodiac signs to these different markets. Okay, so we have Venus that goes with cattle, copper, cotton, sugar, and wheat. And because it has to do with the sun, we also will fill in those two, corn and gold. So we are looking for a change in trend of cattle, copper, corn, cotton, gold. And the stocks respond to all these cycles. It's the big basket of everything, whereas the commodities tend to only be on a narrow filter. And they only respond to certain things, sugar and wheat. So then we're going to move ahead. Now, if that wasn't enough, Venus perihelion, we had a full moon that weekend in the sign of Taurus. And it was at, not any full moon, it was at apogee. What was apogee? That's the moon. It was at its farthest point. So you had two cycles there. The full moon, new moon cycle is 29 and a half days. Apogee, perigee is 25 days. Obviously, they don't always correspond. That happens about every 14 months. And so when that happens, in this case, the full moon at apogee, the moon is far away, and that's called a micromoon. The opposite is when the moon is near, and a full moon or new moon. That's called a supermoon. We have that coming up this weekend. I'll be talking about that in just a little bit. So anytime we have a full moon, new moon, we round up the usual suspects, financials, grains, precious metals. And in this case, because it was in Taurus the bull, we look at cattle and cotton. Then, if that wasn't enough, we got, wait, as they say on late night TV, wait, there's more. You got Mercury perihelion. There you go. So that's very rare that Venus and Mercury are perihelion within almost the same time. That's very rare. I think I saw where it might be only every 8 years or something. Mercury is the ruling planet for grains, and there you go. You got perihelion, and it's the sun, which has corn, gold, and major change in trend for corn, gold, soybeans, stocks, and wheat. Then we had you might want to take a screenshot of these different events, and because I'll be going through the charts, and you might want to refer back. Okay, so then on the second afternoon, we had Jupiter line up with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. The Jupiter-Saturn thing only occurs every 19 and a half years. But wait, that's not all. Since it is happening in Aquarius, that particular alignment in the sign of Aquarius hasn't happened for about 960 years. You probably remember when that last happened, right, Jeff? And there we go. And there we go. And that's part of a 204-year cycle the Jupiter and Saturn cycle, that it stays in the same element, that's fire, earth, air, water, for 240 years, and then it flips out, and then that's what's happening here. Jeff, you might remember the song Dawning Age of Aquarius. In my opinion, that's where we're at now. We're on the dawning of the Age of Aquarius, which relates to a 2,160-year cycle. So this is really big stuff. I don't know that you can trade on this stuff, but it's pretty interesting. Big, long-term stuff. On the more specific, we have that event on that day that refers to Saturn, which is coffee, and in Aquarius, copper and stocks. So then we have the afternoon of the 3rd. We had Mercury in Libra turn direct. We had Mercury go retrograde back on around the 13th of October. And as you know, that was a big top there in the stock market and many markets. And so there you go. And now we have the opposite point that happened. Mercury retrograde occurs about 3 times a year for about 21 days, and this was the opposite point. And we'll be looking at how that all came out. Mercury's grains, and then you also include the stocks. So you got corn, soybeans, and because they're Libra, we got sugar and wheat. Then we had Jupiter to the U.S. Neptune. That's a natal chart idea, event, where we have, what's a natal chart? We take a snapshot when something was born or began, and our country was founded on the 4th of July, 1776. Jupiter was 120 degrees to where Neptune was on that day. And what happened? We had a big blow off top that day on Monday the 9th, and also there was a big move in oil, which is what I have here. Okay, so, and we had good news. I had read in the letter, I said that this should be a very positive cycle, and they had the big vaccine announcement that day, and the market exploded to the upside. So then the next day, right midday on the 10th, we had Mercury. Here's another Mercury cycle. Venus does this too. They kind of swing back and forth relative to the Earth and the Sun. Are they ahead of the Sun? Are they behind the Sun? And whatever that extreme point is, that's called maximum elongation. And it goes back and forth like a pendulum. And so Mercury was at its maximum elongation. And that says important change in terms of grains and stocks. Okay, so now here we're going to look at the chart. There we go. There's my first chart, cattle. We had the moon in Taurus and over the weekend. And on Monday the 2nd, there we go. We had a little short-term top there for the cattle with Venus at perihelion and the moon in Taurus. Here's your coffee. Here we had Jupiter and Saturn line up for the afternoon of the 2nd. So on the opening of the next day, the 3rd, that was near a low there. And made a nice little low there on the coffee. And here's your copper. We went 50-50 on the copper. Had a nice low there for Venus perihelion, but then the Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius didn't really do much. So we had a miss on that. And then here's your corn. Had a big cluster with Mercury and the moon over the 30th weekend. And that worked out pretty well. And then we broke out to the upside with Mercury turning direct. And then we went to the top occurred on the 10th with Mercury at maximum elongation. Then we had cotton over the weekend of the 30th. And there you made a very nice low there on the cotton. And by the way, if you do this is greatly simplifies trading. You don't need any moving average oscillators. Don't need any candlesticks. None of that stuff. And you don't have to predict any prices. You just wait till you get to the window and look where you're at. Are you going down? Are you near a low? Are you near going up near a high? And that's it. Okay, gold. Gold, we missed on the gold. 2 days late on the gold, so that's a miss. And oil. We kind of had a day early on the oil. Exploded to the upside right around the 9th there. But that was too much price. If you went short there, if you didn't have a stop, you could have gone $2 against you. That's too much, so I counted that as a miss. Here's the silver, same deal as the gold. It was 2 days late. That's a miss. Beans were going sideways, and then they broke out when Mercury turned correct on the 3rd, afternoon of the 3rd, and that would lead to a nice big move up into Mercury maximum elongation, which was right ahead, 1 day ahead of the high, a couple pennies higher next day. Here's your stock market. Stock market order. Big cluster of cycles the weekend of the 30th with the Venus, the Mercury, and the moon all there. And that led to the biggest rally, 1 week rally, since April. I think we were up like 7.6% at first week of November. That was a huge rally week. Then we kind of just went sideways here this past week. And Oh, by the way, all these charts were done Thursday night, the 12th. So this may not be up to date. You may have to go look at the markets and to update what's happening coming up here into the week relative to what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Here's sugar. Sugar was neat. We had the Venus at perihelion over the 30th weekend. Sugar is a Venus market, and it went up to Mercury in Libra, which that's its sign is Libra. And so in a 3-day period, sugar made its low of the month and made its high of the month, all in a 3-day period. And it corresponded pretty closely to the astrological factors. Here's the T-bonds, though. T-bonds, I missed on that one. Continue lower, but we did get a little bit of a trade here with the 9th. We had a little bit of a short-term top there on the 9th to make a little bit of money. Here's the wheat was pretty good, right on the bottom there for the wheat, and it popped up into the Mercury going direct in Libra, and wheat is the Libra market, and they made a little bit of a short-term top there. Then we also had a little bit of short-term top there on the 10th with Mercury. All the grains are Mercury. And then we went down, down, down after that. Here's your U.S. dollar. If you like to trade currencies, wait till you see this. All these currencies, you obviously dance to the moon. There's the moon, the U.S. dollar tops. Here's the full moon, the Aussie dollar bottoms. Here's your British pound, the bottom. Here's your Canadian dollar, and making a low there. Here's your euro, making a low there. You see it? So if you counted up all my green arrows and all my red arrows, I had 26 winners, 6 misses out of 32. That's 81.25%. Okay, got something special, a special feature this time. Jeff, is I like to throw something in a little different every time, and I'm going to talk about fractals now. Fractal is...
You've got 3 minutes, Norm, till this software runs out. You've got 3 minutes.
I got 3 minutes. I can do that.
Okay.
All right, 3 minutes fractal is when you have something at different, repeating pattern at different levels of order. There's an old Wall Street adage, as January goes, so goes the year, and that's a fractal statement. So they take the January price action, extrapolate it out for the year, and that's what the blue line is. And you see your T-bonds, once the train got on the track, it's pretty phenomenal following this. And this same model says now that after this is updated as of the end of October, that we were due for a bounce in the mid-November, and we got that. And then if we go over here, we go a lot lower on these bonds, which means interest rates are probably going quite a bit higher. And that's only by the end of the year. So if you got a mortgage and you haven't refinanced yet, you might want to do that right away. So here we go. So here's what happened yesterday. And we had a big down, and then a medium down in the stock market yesterday. And we had some big cycles. We had Jupiter line up with Saturn, and that's coffee, copper, and stocks. And then overnight, we had Jupiter line up with Pluto, and we had a down, and we made a low. Then we turned around, and then this weekend, we had the Mars turn direct. That only occurs every 2 years. Mars has been going retrograde for several months now. Only occurs every 2 years. And so now, here's what we have this way. Mars turning direct. That's a planet going direct to retrograde direct, lining up with a moon thing. And this is a super moon. This is a new moon at perigee in Scorpio. So we'll be rounding up the usual suspects, financials, grain specials, metals. And because in Scorpio, you might want to look at cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds. This is what technically called a lunar syzygy or a super moon, which is an extra powerful.
One more minute, Norm. One.
I got 1 minute. All right. Well, we're going to have to. Next weekend, we got a huge cluster for the U.S. That could resolve the U.S. presidential election. And here's some cocoa and some hogs. And here's how you get a hold of me. I got classes. I got letters. I got 50 years experience. Looking forward to helping some of your folks, Jeff. There's my information there, hopefully on the screen. And so looking forward to helping some of your folks, Jeff. Everybody have a great weekend.
Norm, that's great as always. I love your 80+%, and your classes are free. And I can tell you that your times have been pretty good too. Norm, thanks a lot. We'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Take care.
Okay, bye.